Hello everyone, myself Manav and I am here with a new video that is on the topic of motion. In this video, we're gonna be talking about the term motion, what is distance, what is displacement, what is speed, what is velocity, what is acceleration, and at the end we're gonna wrap up all these things by learning the first law of motion, the motion law which was made by Sir Isaac Newton, a great physicist. Starting with the topic motion from our early classes from class 6th, we have learned this term motion, we have heard this term motion and the meaning. What is the meaning of this term motion? Meaning of this term is that if this is an object, it travels from its starting point from point A to point B. The action, this is known as motion. And in this video we're gonna be learning only linear motion. What is linear motion? Motion in straight line. Straight line. Let's take this copy. On this notebook it is traveling. This is a linear motion. There can be circular motion too, but we're not gonna be talking about circular motion in this video. We're gonna only talk about linear motion. So if this object is traveling, we can say it is in motion, it is traveling. But if it is at only one point, it is standing, it is not moving from one place to another, then what we're gonna call this object? This object, then it will gonna call it a stationary object. From our early classes from 6th class we have learned this too, that the object which is at one place, that object is known as stationary object. Now speed. Just left speed. First we're gonna talking about what is the meaning of distance. So distance is the path covered by an object while motion. This is traveling. So let's take this notebook. If it travels on this notebook, so the path traveled by it is known as our distance. But in the starting of the video I told you about displacement too. So we're gonna learn about displacement also in this video after completing the topic of speed. So speed is the rate of motion, the distance traveled in per minute per hour. If we can say motion can be classified into non-uniform and uniform. Uniform motion mean if the object is uniform speed, it's not motion, uniform speed. So first of all we're gonna talk about speed. This is traveling. Let's assume this object traveled 5 meters in 5 seconds. So our speed will be 1 meter per second, as it took 5 seconds to cover 5 meters. So 1 meter in 1 second, in 5 meters. So speed, the formula of speed is distance by time. D by T is equal to S, that is the speed. I hope you understand what I wanted to make you clear. Speed. Speed is the rate of motion. At what rate our object is traveling. Speed, there is a speedometer, there is a odometer. In our vehicles, in motorbikes, in cars. So odometer, what do you mean by odometer? Odometer tells us the distance, total distance traveled till now when the car was purchased from 0 to variable, any value. It can be any value. It can be 10 kilometer, 10,000 kilometer, 5,000 kilometer. That is odometer. And speedometer tells us the current speed at which an object is moving. I hope you got my point. So this was all about speed. Now let us shift to direction, to the world of direction. While talking about distance, it traveled on a straight line. We just talked about magnitude, about numbers, but we didn't talk about direction, in which direction it moves. Now, while studying velocity or displacement, we're gonna talk about this direction. There are two type of we can say what we can say. I'm not able to remember the name of that term, but we can differentiate our velocity and uh, speed on vector quantity, yeah, vector quantity and magnitude quantity. I think it is magnitude. I'm not sorry if there is I'm saying something wrong because I'm not able to remember that. So vector quantity means the quantity in which we talk about direction to and also about magnitude, but about in magnitude quantity. And I don't know that what we say this quantity. So sorry for that. We only talk about magnitude. So speed can be classified as a magnitude direction quantity, but if we talk about velocity, it can be considered as vector because in this we're gonna also be talking about direction, starting with displacement. Let's suppose there is a home, there is a point A, there is a point B. There are many ways to go from point A to point B. It can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like any. But the shortest distance between point A to B is known as displacement. And every time, each and every time, this is the rule of physics that each and every time the shortest distance from point A to B will be the straight line, the straight path. Meaning this is A, this is B. So this straight line is the displacement. What? Displacement. I hope you got it, but I want to clear to you. So displacement is the straight line, is the shortest path between 2 points. And velocity is like speed, but it is a vector quantity. Instead of distance, we're gonna take displacement in velocity. So displacement over time is velocity. But while studying velocity, I forgot one thing, that was average speed. We didn't cover the topic average speed. So average speed is the speed, the we can say the total distance traveled by divided by the total time taken while the traveling. Let's suppose if a car traveled 100 kilometer in 2 hours, so its average speed would be 50 kilometer per hour. But we cannot say that the car traveled 50 kilometer in the whole journey, in the whole voyage. We cannot say that. Why we cannot say that? Because there would be a highway in which the driver might have changed the speed, he might have increased the speed, and while if there were any traffic jam, so he might slow down the speed. So we cannot say that there was consistency while driving. We cannot say that driver consistently drove the car on 50 kilometer per hour, on the speed of 50 kilometer per hour. That is average speed, and average velocity is the initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. That is our average velocity. Leaving this topic, forget everything now. Now we'll talk about acceleration. If there is a change in velocity, leave this topic too. How we can change? How we can change the velocity? By increasing the magnitude, by increasing the magnitude up and down, speed we can say. One is that thing by increasing or decreasing the magnitude. Second, it is a vector quantity, so our direction also matters. So we can also change the direction. If this is a car is moving like this, so its velocity will also gonna change. If this is a car going, it slow down, the driver increases the speed, and the driver then take a U-turn. So there is a change, a lot of changes in acceleration. So the change in velocity is known as acceleration. I hope you got it. Now at the end of the video, we have a last topic, that is law of inertia. What our first law states to us. So first law tells to us that object cannot change, or it will be consistent in its speed if any external force is not applied on it. Let's suppose if this object is lying on this notebook, and if I'm not gonna touch it, it will not gonna move. It will stay in its original state in which it was few seconds ago. But if I touch it, an external force applied on it, then it changed its position. This is what our first law of motion states. And this law depends on the mass. If there is a huge truck standing on the road, you cannot move that truck with the force of only 2-3 Newton with this one finger. You need many people, hands of many people to move that truck. So that was all the topic that we covered in this video. I'll gonna meet you in my next video. Until then, stay safe. Thank you very much.